Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I'm with a fantastic artist, awesome guest, the one and only C. Lance. For those of you who aren't 100% sure, he has been working with some phenomenal artists, making some amazing tracks. One of the hot producers, two-time gold producer as well. You've been working with Twista, Tech N9ne, Conway The Machine, The Game, Jedi Mind Tricks R.A, The Rugged Man, Whitney Payton, who I've had on the show. Literally, the list goes on and on. You've got tracks with Merkules that came out, Cigarette that just came out. You have Bars of Death featuring Merkules and Twista as well. And then you had your album last year, Undying Flame. So, man, it's a pretty impressive resume. When I was looking at it, I was like, you're pretty much rubbing shoulders with hip hop's best.
Oh man, appreciate it. Yeah, it's been I'd say one of my my like greatest achievements for me and personally is that I can work with so many artists. I don't just have one sound. Like I don't just have the Jedi Mind Tricks beat. Like how you mentioned Cigarette for Merk. That's a totally different vibe than like a Jedi Mind Tricks or even a Whitney Payton or Conway. So I think one of the things that I pride myself in is that I can produce for so many different artists, and people like they can say like one of the things that I love as a fan is like I can say like, oh, that's definitely a DJ Premier beat. Like, when you hear a Primo beat, it's his.
Yeah, you got the scratch, like the intro, like you just know. One of my favorite producers of all time, Primo.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think if you're a hip hop producer and he's not in your top 5, then I mean, everyone has their own opinion, but I'm just saying, like he's one of the greats. But like what I was saying is like a Primo beat when you hear it, and it's like I want people to know a C Lance beat, but I also pride myself in being like, wait, he produced that? It doesn't sound like his stuff, so I just like I try to just have different styles, but also like one formula, because like I have one formula of like making a beat, but then I can do different styles.
Right, that's interesting. I didn't expect you to say like it's the same formula, just different. Mm-hmm. It's just different sounds and combinations of sounds.
Yeah. So like every single morning when I sit down to make a beat, like I'll have in my head, okay, I'm gonna make this one for Merk, or I'm gonna make this one for Vinnie Paz or R.A the Rugged Man. But everything starts the same. I start with a melody, then I go to the bass, then I go to the drums. So it's like when I say same formula, it's like it's the same patterns for every beat. Just it'll be 85 BPMs per minute, or it'll be like 180. You know what I mean? So like, or I'll have or like Cigarette that we just dropped, it'll be like a guitar melody, or I'll have like a boom bap sample. You know what I mean? So like I have the same strategy for making a beat, but then they'll sound different at the end.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I think that's the challenge with a producer, is that uniquely it's not your voice. Everyone's voice is so most voices are pretty unique in the sense of you listen to it enough, you can identify who it is. But obviously with beats, it's like not only do I have to pick up the instruments, but then I also have to pick up the layering of the instruments to identify which producer, and then also to even check. Like I feel like most people don't even check the producers unless it's such a good beat that they're like, hey, that sound was awesome, I want to go check that again.
Yeah, well, and then also with streaming platforms, like I'm sure like fans are just listening to albums on their phone. So unless it says like my album that dropped, unless like everyone knew that it was C Lance, like, but like when like a Merkules album drops, the fans have to go and like see who made the beat, like on Spotify or Apple Music. Like it doesn't say like Vinnie Paz produced by C Lance. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to just, and then like that's why I started putting that beat tag in the beginning of of the songs that I make. So then like, because I get messages all the time being like, I've been a fan for years and never knew. You know what I mean? I used to get mad at that when like fans told me that, because I was like, what am I doing wrong? How do people not know it's me? You know? But I also know that like some producers like to be in the background. You know what I mean? Like, and the beat, I mean, the beat is half the song, but like sometimes the producer does like to be in the background, like, they don't want to be like in the front. And I get the rappers like the focal point all the time, but that always bothered me when fans are like, I didn't know you made that beat. I've been listening to it for years.
How did you react? Like what? But like now you seem like fine with it because it's just
Yeah, well,
it is what it
I'd
is. There's not
say,
much you can do about it.
yeah, like there's not much you can do about it. And like, and then like I said, streaming platforms, which is what most fans use now, they don't, like I said, like it doesn't say who the producer is. You know what I mean? Unless it's like someone, massive, like DJ Premier, it'll say like featuring DJ Premier or something. But I used to get mad at it, but now it doesn't bother me, because like it's just like, like I like even yesterday I had that comment from someone being like, I had no idea that you produced for Chris Webby. That's the comment that I got. And I was like, yeah, I've known him since 2014.
It's also like what like there's no way for you to respond to be like, yeah, I work with a lot of people you don't know I work with. Like it's like there's no way to
Yeah.
respond to that being like other than like, yeah, man, like I've been working with him for a while. It's like that's about it. That's like the only thing you can say. Glad you like.
Yeah.
But it's weird when people feature. Like I've seen Primo feature on tracks, but just because he
Right.
features doesn't mean he produced it. That's the other thing.
No.
Is like I've
Yeah.
seen him feature and he just throws in like the hook or the scratches in there, and he a little part. Like
Yeah.
did it on Eminem's album "Music to Be Murdered By," I think on the B side did,
Right.
where he was featured, but he didn't make that beat.
He didn't make the
Just
beat. It
came
was
in at
like a
the end.
trap beat, right?
Yeah, yeah, and then
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
came
Yeah.
at the end and
Yeah.
did those scratches. So that's also confusing because it's like
Mhm.
I have a producer who's featured, but they didn't make the beat on this.
No.
They didn't
Yeah.
actually produce it.
Yeah. It's confusing for fans for sure, especially like, um, because that was like, I remember when I first heard that song and I was like, this is definitely not a DJ Premier beat. But then like the scratches were like just at the end. If you remember the song, the scratches are just like the outro. So it's like,
Yeah, because
it's crazy that it was
says
said.
like, yeah, like Primo take this out or something. Like he references
Yeah, yeah,
Primo
yeah.
and he just ends the song, and it's like this is the strangest way to use. Like we said, one of the greatest producers of all time.
I know.
I'm always like, where's the Primo beat?
I
Like
know. I
Primo was
know.
coming on the album, you can see it in the credits, and you're just
Yeah.
what happened? Like what?
Yeah, I know. I know. It was probably used as like a selling tactic to get people to listen to it or whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if they should list the producer always.
Yeah. I mean, that
More
would help. I mean,
easily.
yeah. I mean, that would help me out a ton, you know? Well, on Merk does it now on like Spotify and Apple Music. Like if you go listen to our new song Cigarette, it says Merkules and Lance. So
Yeah.
I appreciate artists that do that. I wish more artists did that, but they don't.
Yeah. But I don't understand why. That's the thing. It's like
Man,
happy
I
for
mean,
features to be on there. But
I'll say why I think. I don't know if it's true, but it's just rappers have huge egos. They have huge egos and they just want the spotlight. Like I've even had rappers, I'm not going to mention any names, but I've even had rappers being like, I don't want to put your name on like Spotify and stuff, like because it screws up their algorithms or something. I have no idea. But that possibly could be a reason why you never see producers on Spotify, because um I guess if you have like another primary artist or something, it can screw up algorithms on Spotify. I don't think it's true, but I just know that a lot of rappers do have egos and they want to be the only name that's there.
does that make you not want to work with them again?
Uh, I mean, Yeah, sometimes, but it's like you also get paid for the beat, and then you get, you know, royalties and stuff. So it's like it's not like you're getting nothing, you know what I mean? But there was only one artist that's ever said that to me. But this was also years ago when I was coming up, so that also could have been like, you know, they didn't really, I guess I didn't really have a name at that point. Like now I don't have an issue with that. People always want to put my name on their stuff, you know. So, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
But maybe that's what it is. Maybe it is like I don't want a risky name on there.
Yeah, yeah, or like
I
an
want,
up
yeah, or an up
or
and
like
coming.
an up and comer. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, this was like in 2010. I remember the artist telling me that. So I mean, it's not like that now, but I could see a lot of people. It stinks the way that like streaming platforms are though, because like even when I listen to a new album as a producer, I want to see the producer right away. Like I want to know, oh man, who made this beat? And like Spotify doesn't have that info at all.
Yeah. And when I go under the artist's name, a lot of the time, half the tracks aren't even there.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I've interviewed producers and I'm like, your Spotify has none of the tracks you've produced. It's just beats that you've made and you've got like this beat disc. And it's like,
Be-
that's good. But yeah, there's
it,
no names.
it's because the songs you're looking for are just on the rapper's page.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's also another reason why I did that producer album. I was like, you know what? It's my turn. It's my turn to put out an album with all you guys. And then,
How
you
did
know
they
what I mean?
react to, because I mean, it's a big project. Like you've
Yeah,
got
it
a
is.
lot
Oh,
of
they were all
features, so
supportive.
many artists.
Everyone on that album was supportive. Like, um, they all those guys were telling me like, you got to do your own producer album one day, and they were all supportive about it. Almost everyone on it shared it, and you know they supported the single that they were on when it came out. So I was more than happy with that album, and all the support, because like I didn't, you know, I didn't ask anyone to help me promote it or anything, you know what I mean? I'm like not one of those, I'm not that like kind of guy that's like, you know, pushy and be like, can you share it, can you share it? I don't act like that. So to see all those guys get behind the project and promote it and stuff, like it meant a lot.
It must be good to know that you've built up enough like credibility, goodwill, and obviously they're happy with the project.
Yeah, that was definitely, I even got comments from fans being like, man, how did you get this many of my favorite artists on one album? Because I think I had 38 rappers on the album. Um, and like it was pretty much like the favorite, it was pretty much like everyone I've worked with in my career. I wanted like I wanted all those guys on my album, and all of them came through, man. And it was like the fans were just like so shocked when I dropped like the track listing, because it was like my core fan base, all their favorite artists. So it was really cool. And that's the cool thing about a producer too, because like I don't rap, so I can have all those guys on my album. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to get a Vinnie Paz album that features 38 other rappers. You know what I mean? Because he's a rapper. So, you know, so like the cool thing about my album was like I don't rap, so every song had to be 2 or 3 rappers on it. So that's what was cool about it.
Yeah, isn't it funny? I actually get disappointed when I see a rapper's album and they have too many features. It's like,
Right, right. Yeah,
why did I come here? Why
I know.
am I listening to this? I'm not, you're not, you're barely here. Like, if there's an art, I've seen albums where like an artist has a feature on every song, and it's like, did you not have enough bars to like carry,
Yeah,
or like, did you
I
need
know.
someone else? And it's like, so I definitely get that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I've said the same. I've said the same thing one time when I've heard an album and it's like every song had a feature. You know what I mean? It's just like I want to listen to this album because I like your verses. Like I don't want to listen to 18 other guys.
And if you're gonna have so many features, just make a group. Like at least
Right, right.
sell it like
Yeah,
a group, like that's what all the groups did so well is like, hey, we know together we're better. So we can be the group. But I always find it weird. But I'm not gonna lie, I still have a soft spot for like the ciphers that they throw in. Just just everyone goes ham.
Yeah. One of my favorite ciphers was the what was it, like the Shady BET a cipher or something?
Yeah.
With like Yellow Wolf and Slaughterhouse. That was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, they caught a lot. Was that the one without the beats?
No. There was a beat. There was a beat in the
Okay, that was the other one. Yeah, because that one, the one that they did with like the beats was awesome. But then I know they did the freestyles with it, like the acapella ones.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm sure you can guess this. As a producer, I hate the acapella ones.
Yeah, so do I. I think there's something missing. It just honestly showed how much the beat works. Like the pockets that they subconsciously find of the rhythmic elements of it is not the same when it's not there. Because then it's just all, what can you come up with? And we've all heard amazing rappers come up with some amazing things like a cappella, but like fire beat always adds.
Yeah. That's why I liked that BET's Shady Cypher, because it was all those guys on the same beat. So you could see like the different flows that they all had.
And they were all standing next to each other, which is
that's what was cool too.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
When you're getting in touch with like an artist for the first time, like, do you share like samples? Do you share anything? What's your like go-to strategy? I mean, these days you've obviously got a great name, so I'm sure you don't have to do too much. But like when you were starting out, when you were still hustling, what was the process to get to work with the artists that you ended up working with?
So the process was always like, you would ask them for their email. I would and then I would send like between 5 to 10 beats. And you know, the guys that really connected with them would like hit you back, pretty quickly. Like I remember when I connected with Vinnie Paz back in 2009 or whatever it was. I sent him like 5 beats at first, and 2 of them ended up going on his album.
Wow.
So it was like within the first beats that I sent him, they were on his album Season of the Assassin, which was his first solo album. So and then like now, like fast forward now, like back then there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook was like kind of a thing, but it wasn't for like artists. It was like for like college kids or whatever. And then it was MySpace. Like that's how I connected with people. So like you would just talk to them on MySpace and then ask for their email. And then now, like nowadays, like if I hear a new artist that I want to work with, you just send them an Instagram DM and be like, "What's your email? I'll send beats." And then they'll just be like, "If you ever need a verse, let me know. I'll give you a verse." So it's like it's way easier now to just connect with people. And then also now with like Instagram, like how I post those beat videos?
Yeah.
Where I'm like playing the beat. Now it's like artists just DM me being like, "Yo, how much for that beat? Can I get that beat?" So it's just like it's so, I don't want to say it's easy because you still have to put in the work, and like trust me, there's a lot of producers out there who post their beats and nobody hears it. But it's much easier now to connect with rappers now. But it's like the process is always like the hardest thing is to get someone's email. Like, and I remember when I first started out, like you couldn't just DM Eminem and be like, "What's your email?" Because like I mean you still can't do it now because he probably gets so many DMs and wouldn't get in touch with them. But like nowadays, like you can just go to someone's Instagram or like tag them in your posts and stuff. So it's easier to get beats out. But like you you got to have good beats too. Like you can't just make beats and then just expect someone to rap on them. But yeah, the process has always been getting their email, which is the hardest part and the most important part. And then just sending like advice for like up and coming producers. Like what I would do is start off sending like 4 or 5, because if you send like 20 or 50 beats in the first email, the artist is not even going to listen. So like 4 or 5 beats, and then the rapper should get a idea of if they want to work with you off of those first initial beats. So that's pretty much the process.
Well, I agree with you when it comes to not selling 20 beats, because it's like it's too much. Like it's so weird. You think that more choice will give them, but it becomes overwhelming. You're like,
yeah, and trust me, I used to be that guy. I used to send 20, 30 beats and like never hear back. And I'm just like, oh man, I wonder, like, and it would hurt your you'd get discouraged. But in reality, 99.9% of the time, the artist probably never even listened to them because they saw the email and was like, I'm not dealing with this. because it's too many beats.
You're not hard enough on yourself to be like, let me choose the best ones, or let me choose the ones that could work for this artist. Like that's also the test. If you just send all your beats, it's like, well, you didn't put any effort into this and curating and choosing a couple. So it's like part of that as well. Like if I got like 50 beats, I'd be like, what am I going to do? Listen to the 50 beats and like spend time to maybe find one good one. That's your job.
I know.
Like if you reach out to me, that's your job. So it is interesting though, in the parallels of like you and I have a very similar process in the sense that like these days, especially with Instagram, it's like, DM and then
right.
But the hard part, no, please.
I mean, just off of this podcast, like that's how we got in touch with each other, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool to like, one thing, social media, like it's supposed to be bad for everyone's mental health and stuff, and I mean it probably is, but it's also cool for like we wouldn't be doing this podcast if it wasn't for social media. I probably wouldn't have like 80% of my supporters if not for Instagram and all that stuff, because how would people even know? Because like we said, people don't look at the credits anymore. So if we were in a world right now like back in the 90s where it was just rappers released albums, like I would only get recognition from the fans that bought the CD, opened it up, and like looked at who produced it. So social media helps a producer like greatly for all the fans to see me on Instagram and Facebook and always posting beats, and sometimes I'd say like once a week I post on Facebook and Instagram like, here's a song I produced in 2015 for R.A. the Rugged Man or something. Like I always throw that in like once a week, because like I said at the beginning of this, there's always fans who are like, I didn't know you made that beat. So I mean, social media is great for that stuff.
That's pretty cool to be able to be like, you may not know this, but I did this like 8 years ago. And it's a great strategy. But I agree with the social media is like, we're literally across the world from each other. Like literally in completely
That's what I mean.
time zones. And you're right, we wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for social media. I mean, I'm sure we could. I'm sure like, I'd send a letter and then you'd send a letter eventually, and then the post it, and then we'd be like, hello, and we'd have to exchange letters for like 3 years. But definitely it made it a lot easier, and for sure. I think when people ask me like, how do I get guests? How do I get people on the show? It's a bit different now because, I've had a body of work. Like once you have a body of work, it's really easy. I can send a DM, but then you can go and look at the list. Like I've got a list of artists that I've worked with and I've spoken to. So, but at the beginning, it's like you just shoot your shot. If they respond, they respond. If they don't, they don't. And sometimes they respond and they talk shit for for a bit, and then nothing ever happens, and then they're like, yeah, and then you start getting into like, hey, calendars, and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then I've had people no show, like literally they
Oh,
accept
really?
they don't rock up, but it's going to happen. Like that's the part of it that people don't talk about is like,
Right.
obviously not every person you speak to is going to act 100% the best all the time. And you don't
Yeah.
know what
Right.
they're going through. You don't know who's managing their IGs and stuff like that. Like you spoke about
Yeah.
him. What are the odds he actually manages his own Instagram?
Yeah. Definitely not.
50 Cent
Yeah.
definitely does. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
tell,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
Eminem, I would be shocked.
No way.
A lot of those people don't.
Because you can tell Eminem's Instagram is strictly like when an album comes out, he'll post it, or like when there's a new merch item, he'll post it. 50 Cent's on there every day. It's like Snoop Dogg's on there every day posting memes. You know, like you know that those guys run their Instagrams, and like 50 Cent talks trash about everyone, so you know it's like his.
Which I absolutely love
Yeah,
so
oh,
much.
he's the best, man. He's the best.
I
He's one of my favorite rappers of all time, and I mean his first album is one of it's in my top 5 at least.
I agree. It was the first hip
Yeah.
hop album I ever listened to. It was
Get
like,
Rich or Die Trying.
yeah, the gateway.
Oh
It
wow.
opened up my whole world. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
absolute banger.
I remember that came out in 2003,
Yeah.
and I was in high school, and I'm not exaggerating. Every single kid had that album. Like even if you didn't listen to rap, like you had that album. It was crazy.
Wonder what it was about it that
I don't know because I've even seen Eminem and like Dre and all those guys who were involved in that album. They said that the rollout for that album was like nothing else they've ever seen. And to be honest, I can't remember a time that I've been into hip hop where I've witnessed like an artist blow up that fast. Like when In the Club first came out, like I said, I was hearing it everywhere, and I would like even when I went to like my friend's house, like back then, it was like it was on everyone's like radio. That was just like insane how much that album blew up.
because I think he sold a record. I think his highest selling album in 1 week.
I think so. Yeah. 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 And like and like you're not just talking hip hop. That's like every genre.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he sold more than like Michael Jackson and like Madonna and the Beatles is like insane.
I wonder if it's the knowledge that it's Dre produced, Eminem
Possibly.
backed. Like it's got the names of success. Like I wonder about that.
Mhm.
But
I wonder how it would have done if he was just released if he released that as just 50 Cent and like you didn't know that Dre and Eminem did it. You know?
yeah, but also social media wasn't around back then, so it's not like you went quote unquote viral.
Right, which is also weird.
Yeah, so it's like
You know what I mean?
not only did it drop, but every single person was like, I have to listen to this, and it is absolute fire, which it is. But like, I don't even know what they would have done at that generation to generate that much heat, other than, was it like early review? I don't even know. Like, what would you do? Would you do early releases for like certain people, get some buzz going? Like, yeah.
I'm trying to think back now and I'm trying to remember like yeah, how did everyone in my high school have that album? Like how how did everybody know? It's just I'm trying to think back and it's like I guess like that's when like do you remember TRL?
No.
Oh, it was a huge MTV video show here. And I think like that was huge at the time. And I think that that's probably why that stuff was so big. And then I think like MTV was still pretty big, like when that came out. Well, I expect specifically when Eminem came out, MTV was still big. But I think just like radio play, like I can't really think of anything else. of like why everyone, I think In the Club, like the first single, I think that was just on every radio station. Like anytime you turn to it, it was on.
Yeah, I wonder if it got a lot of club play early.
Oh, yeah, possibly. Also by the name, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I wonder if they did early releases to certain DJs, certain areas, like just let's
Yeah.
name out there. 50 Cent is one of those people who's like ahead of the game when it comes to marketing and selling and promotion. I'd love
Yeah.
to talk to him about it. And like, so 50, if you want to respond to us questioning how it happened, let us know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is interesting thinking back to that time because that's
Definitely.
only 20 years ago. That's also
Yeah.
20 years ago. And then
I
I think
know.
people like, Tupac, Biggie, Lauryn Hill, like how did they get those names out? And how did they
Yeah.
sell as many as they did?
I know.
Maybe it is the radio. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is radio.
I think it's also because back then it was like they were all over the TV and stuff. Like they were all over TV and radio. So it's like, and they were always in the news, specifically Tupac, right? He was always in the news with something he was doing. So it's like I, I it must have been radio play. Like I can't even really remember, to be honest. I just know that everybody in high school had the 50 Cent album. Like everyone when I was 12 years old had the Slim Shady LP. It was just like crazy. Like, and like nowadays, it's like you don't know if an album drops unless you follow them on Instagram. It's insane.
Yeah. Or Spotify's like, hey, guess what? You know, an artist that you're
Yeah.
listening to, they dropped an album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And then you're like, oh,
So
yeah. But
you would think that it's easier, or that an album would get much bigger now because of the internet. But it's funny, like Eminem and all those guys sold way more albums back then than they do now. Like he still sells a lot when he drops an album, but you'd think that with social media and all that stuff, like he's putting the album out in front of way more people now, and the album sales were way better back then. That's because all you had was the physical copy. So it's like that also could have been why, things, blew up for like a 50 Cent, because like one guy had a CD and then you went to the store to buy it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, man. You think that they'd be selling more now because of social media, but it's like, I don't know. That was a great time though, I'll tell you. The early
I think
2000s,
there's
late
more
90s was
competition
the
now.
best.
There's more competition.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like
And
I've said this before. It seems like every fan either raps or makes beats.
that's because it's so easy now to do it.
Yeah,
Like
I
the
know.
barrier to entry is real low. Like I was thinking about
Right.
it the day of like which industries still have high barriers. So I'd say like the movie industry still has an enormous barrier to entry. Like you can't just make a movie. Number one, it's
No.
fucking so exhausting to get
Right.
everything. Editing is an absolute nightmare. So making a movie is a shit show. It
Yeah.
costs way too much money to get any good actors. You have to pay money to release it. You need distribution, all this stuff. So movies have this massive barrier to entry, but making beats, making music, you can
Yeah.
SoundCloud, you can easily do distribution
Yep.
independently with not
Because
that much
it's
money.
it's pretty much free too. You can record a song off your phone, laptop, and then to upload to Spotify, you just need like one of those distribution websites like DistroKid or TuneCore, and it's like I think it's like $60 a year or something. So like you can have a whole album out on Spotify, and it would cost you probably $100 or something. So it's like, it's crazy like that. And then another thing I was gonna say is like, but I feel like how you were talking about the barriers to get into like the movie industry. I feel like there's still that barrier in other genres of music, but hip hop for some reason is not like that. Specifically, underground hip hop. I feel like there's just like every like meeting a fan nowadays that doesn't rap or make beats is like is like refreshing. You know what I mean? Like there's so many like when I go to shows, there's so many fans where I'll meet them and they'll just be like, "Oh man, I've been a fan of your beats for years." and then they'll just hand me a CD. They'll be like, I rap too. Which is fine. Like, I get it. Like, it's easy nowadays to do that. But I feel like, is it like that in country music? Is it like that in rock and roll? Like, I feel like there isn't you know, a million country singers on Instagram right now. I mean, it's like everyone makes beats now. It's crazy.
Let's be honest though, hip hop is sexy.
Yeah, that's true.
But
That's
like,
true.
you
Everyone,
know,
yeah, I know. Everyone wants to be that hip hop star.
that's because they're cool, man. That's what it is. Hip hop is just cool. It's got the feeling, you know, when you think of country, you think of like, you know, I personally, I'm like, man, Alabama. Like, I'm thinking like just,
yeah.
you know, line dancing and shit. And I'm like, I'd much rather be in the club. I'd much rather like popping bottles. Like, it's got, and hip hop is in all the best places of life. It's in sport,
Right.
it's in fashion, it's in like, if country music infiltrated the fashion and infiltrated sport, that would be the most popular. Everyone would be doing, but
Yeah,
it's,
you're
it's
right.
cool. It just doesn't have the
Yeah.
same feeling. So definitely part of it. But it's
I
like,
guess that's true because also hip hop goes like hand in hand with like the NBA and like, you know, like professional sports like that. If you go to those games, like if you go to, you know, a Lakers game, the whole game they're playing a hip hop song. So yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, you're not sitting at a, you know, like you're not going to be sitting at a basketball game and they start playing like, you know, country music. It's just not going to happen.
no, because everyone's like, this is not the vibe. Like,
Yeah,
you want
no, right.
intensity, you want feeling, you like, that's what you get in hip hop. You get it just makes, it can make your blood rush, and that's what you want. I mean, that's why everyone listens to hip hop as like hype songs. Like, you see UFC fighters come out, they're all like hip hop tracks.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, like I said, hip hop goes hand in hand with like UFC, the NBA, the NFL. It's just like that's just the music that all those guys listen to too. So, you know, I mean,
And
hip hop's definitely.
I think the reason why so many people do it is it goes hand in hand with underground culture. The culture of hip hop has always been built off underground artists, of like, you start locally, you build your name, you get, like, it's rare for artists to just blow up. You have to show some skill set and also have years of just doing some dog shit bars so that you eventually learn, and some shit beats so that you eventually learn to do well.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. And also, like you said, hip hop is like, you know, the underground, like, you know, graffiti, you know, sneakers, all that stuff. So it's like, you know, when you think of, you know, like another genre of music, you're not thinking about any of that stuff. So is there even an underground of country music? I mean, I don't know.
But maybe rock, maybe like rock is probably the closest.
Punk, yeah. Grunge or whatever, or I don't know if that was just the 90s, but yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I mean, I know absolutely nothing about rock music, so
no,
into territory where you and I were both like, rock and country, we can speculate.
Yeah. I used to listen to a lot of rock in the 90s, like, you know, that type of like alternative rock, but I don't listen to rock now.
Well, you found a better genre, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, and if anyone gets mad, it's the hip hop hustle. Fuck me. Like, you know.
Yeah.
What did you
expect? What we were talking about, like one thing that I will mention is now I feel like country and hip hop are kind of like joining forces. There is a genre now called country hip hop.
Yeah, because that's true, because I've had artists mention that the genre probably closest to hip hop is country.
Yeah.
The sound is completely different, but lyrically and storytelling wise, there are similarities, and that you can see some really good storytelling in country tracks. They've got those elements of like, you know, fighting and all that kind of stuff. So that was interesting to me, that they're almost joining to become, I feel like it's an interesting time in music.
It definitely is because I also feel like I also feel like how you said like hip hop is like just like the coolest genre. It's like I feel like I feel like country artists like want to rap, you know, like they think hip hop's so cool that they want to rap now,
Yeah, because
you
why
know?
would you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you look at Drake and you're like, man, that shit looks cool. like,
Yeah. I
like,
know. I know.
and then you listen to like Vinnie Paz and the bars he spits, and you listen to like it just has this feeling. And when I mean, growing up, it was different. No one in my school listened to hip hop. I was the only one. It was like,
Oh,
in
really?
Australia, like hip hop is almost a new thing. I mean, I think it's been around for like 10 plus years. The internet
Yeah.
really changed the way it is, and obviously with NBA getting bigger and overseas sports getting bigger, especially American sports, that the hip hop element came through as well. But when I was
Yeah.
in school, no one listened to hip hop. I had like 3 friends that listened to hip
Really?
hop, and everybody else was like, turn that shit off. Like that, they were like, and it was just crazy. Like, and this is in the 2000s. It's not like I went to school in the 80s. Like,
Yeah, right.
I was in I graduated high school when I was in 2011. So that was like
Okay.
from 2005 to like 2007. Oh, sorry, to 2011. No one listened to hip hop in my school.
Wow.
And I
That's
was just,
crazy.
yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's interesting because like I said, everyone in my high school had the 50 Cent album. You know
I
what I mean?
I wish I had that. Like I wish
Yeah.
everyone was playing it. It would be so good. I remember when I went to the States for the first time, I went to Hawaii and they had hip hop playing in like department stores. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is the best. This never happened. Like, this is where I want to live. Like, this is
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So you said nobody in your high school listened to it. What were they listening to?
To be honest, I've like indie bands and
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
don't really know. I
Yeah.
zone, man. It all blended into the same shit. And
Yeah.
I'm a stubborn person. So as soon as they were like against it, it made me push further into it, and it
Right.
made me like it more. But like, the only thing I could say is I'd never got a feeling from their songs, for the songs I listened to. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just never hit me. It never made me want to dance and groove and just like feel it. And hip hop always makes me just feel it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same way. I mean, like I said, other than like 90s alternative rock, it's always just been hip hop for me. Like that's the only thing I would listen to. It was the only thing I really got into, and like the only thing that made me, I'll say it like this, like hip hop was the only thing that made me wanted to learn more about it. Like like when I first started listening to it, I instantly wanted to know who was making the music. Like, you know, when I first started listening to it in like the mid to late 90s, and I'd listen to like, Jay-Z or Eminem, and I was like, man, I want to know who made that stuff in the background. Like I never listened to, rock music, and I was like, who's playing the guitar? I never said that. Like I always wanted to know who made the beats in hip hop. And I think that's also what started my obsession with like being a producer. Cause like I had no musical, I wasn't I wasn't into music as a kid. Like I hated music class in my school. Like I didn't want to go to music class. I didn't care about music. And then it was just like one day when my friend showed me, it was actually my friend showed me Jedi Mind Tricks in like 99 or something, or maybe even 2000. And I was like, yo, what is this? I started listening to it, and and then that's when I started learning like I actually I actually want to do that. I want to make that that beat. You know what I mean? So it was it was kind of just like hip hop was the one genre that made me actually want to like, make music.
it's interesting that you answered the question that I literally was about to ask you. I was going to ask you what was the like moment, like was there a pivotal moment? And it's like, yeah, it's it's really weird because as you said, you didn't like music in class, like in school.
No, I hated music class in school.
There's something about
Yeah.
being forced to learn music
Right.
theory about
Yeah.
just generic music that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like in school, like you'd sing like Christmas songs. They would teach you like Christmas songs. And
Which I
I was like,
get
I don't
because
want
they can't be like, they can't be PIMP and be like, all right,
to.
kids, let me teach you about like this gangster. All right, we're gonna do Suicidal Thoughts by Biggie today. Um,
Yeah. Right.
so I get
Yeah.
that. They just, but
Mhm.
also they get these crusty old teachers who like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't give a shit. Let's be honest. They're
No.
like in their 60s and 70s. The music they listen to is long gone, and it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But to go back to what your next question was going to be, you said it was going to be like, what was the moment that like made me want to be a producer?
yeah,
Is that what you?
yeah.
Yeah. So it was like halfway through high school. So like I was in high school from 2001 to 2005, and that's when like it was the 50 Cent era, the G Unit, Eminem, all that stuff. Jedi Mind Tricks were like really a huge name in the underground hip hop, and my friend showed me a Jedi Mind Tricks album, and I started listening to it, and I was like, this is like nothing I've ever heard, because even though it was hip hop, it was different than Eminem, 50 Cent. Like it was just different. And then I was like, yo, this is the stuff that and then fast forward to when I was in college, um, all my roommates knew what they wanted to do. Like they wanted to be an accountant. They wanted to be a cop, a teacher. And I was just sitting there being like, I don't want to be any of those things. So I was just in college, and at the time I had a laptop with a FL Studio, which is what I make beats on. Fruity Loops, for those who don't know what FL Studio means. But and I was just like, I just started messing around with that. Like I would listen to a Jedi Mind Trick song or a Gangstar song or a Mob Deep song, or like an Alchemist beat, and then I'd go to my FL Studio and I'd start making beats. And then it was like that moment where like, and I think I said this earlier, I just became obsessed with it. Like I think if you wanna, like, everyone's like, you can be whatever you want to be, but you have to be like, that's true to an extent, but it's like you have to be dedicated. And I truly believe you have to be obsessed with something. And like I used to get like sick to my stomach if a day went where I didn't make a beat. I would so you have to be like how people are addicted to drugs. Like you have to be addicted to what you want to do. And it's like I was just obsessed with making beats. Like at the end of high school and the beginning of college, that's all I would do. When all my friends went out to college parties, I would go home on the weekends and make beats. So it's like you have to have that dedication. It's like I lost my entire college, life. Like all my friends went to parties. I didn't go to any of them. I just I just went home and made beats. And I also believe that if I didn't have those years, and this was before I met Paz or any of those guys, I truly believe if I didn't have those years where I just worked on beats and like nobody heard them, then I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah. Isn't it funny though? Because it's like at that time, I'm sure part of you was like, will this work out?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
is it
yeah. Yeah. Of
worth it?
course.
And like,
Yeah.
and
Of
now
course.
you get to look back and you get to be like, yeah, it was because
Yeah.
I had the vision. And it's like,
Mhm.
and I think what you said was so important is like, it has to be purposeful. You can't just
Mhm.
like, be like, I'm not going to the party because I'm hustling. And then you do whatever the fuck you do for 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's like purposeful. It's like learning. It's like, I am dedicated to making this better. And it's like, know what you want to be and go get it, but take
Right.
accountability for it. And I think being accountable for it is definitely something people forget. It's like, hi, I want to do this, but then they do nothing about it.
And also, I feel like when you meet the younger generation today, it's like they want results so fast. Like I know people that have been like, I want to get into making beats. They'll post like 2 on Instagram and then just quit because nobody saw it. You know what I mean? Like I was making beats for 4 or 5 years before anyone even heard it, and that was 2 or 3 beats a day. So like think about it, thousands of beats before I even produced one song for anybody, and that was before social media. So it's just like I don't want to be that like grumpy, bitter older producer who tells all the younger kids like, you got to work harder or like anything like that. But I'm just saying like you can't just like give up after like you can't even give up after a year. Like it takes more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, everyone says it. Every single person I've ever spoken to is like dedication, consistency, time.
Yeah. And like I said, you got to be obsessed with it. Like it's got to be something that you're just like almost like a drug. Like, you know what I mean?
I agree. I mean, I've only been doing this for like 2.5 years, but like I've also only been doing this for 2.5 years. So it's like, right. So it's like we're not even at that realm yet where like I can be even close to bitter because I haven't given it the time yet.
Right.
Of just keep going, of just like keep hustling. And so it is definitely one of those things where you just can't quit. If it's what you want, like and everyone wants to quit at some point. Like everyone feels
of course.
Sucks.
Of course. There were times after I got out of college where I was like, man, like, do I get a job or, do I just, because all my friends were, graduating and getting jobs and, setting it up so they can buy a house and have a family and all that stuff. And I'm just sitting there making beats for nobody at the time. And I'm just like, man, what do I do? But then there was also like the other side of me that was like, I don't have a plan B. So plan A has to work.
Yeah. Well, and also it's never too late. Like I've got a full-time job as well. So like we started recording at 6 a.m. for me. So it's like, that's what I'm willing to do. But it's, I don't say it because I want the credibility. I say it because it's like, that's what I'm willing to do. It's like, if I have to just get up early and I get to interview rappers and artists and musicians that I really want to talk to, that's not bad for me. Like that's
not difficult. At all.
That's not a difficult trade. So like that to me is my mindset that like, all right, it's a 6 a.m. recording. Yeah. I'd rather do that because what else am I getting? Otherwise I'll literally be sleeping. And so I can get up earlier or like I just have to go to bed earlier. Like, what am I going to do last night? What was I going to do? Just hang around, like just watch a TV show for an extra hour. Like those are the trade-offs. It's actually not a difficult trade-off when I think about it.
But no, it's not. And like you said, you got to make sacrifices for what you want. Like, do you know how many, like, there's a ton of podcasts that hit me up weekly to be on their podcast, but I'm on yours. So you're definitely doing something right. Like even with the, the communication we've had on Instagram, it was like there was just something about the way you approached me and everything. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to do the podcast. Like there's so many other podcasts that email me and I don't even reply because it's just like the way they go about it. Their whole email is like misspelling. It's just like,
it's crazy. I've had people message me saying, hey, let's do a podcast. It's like, okay, that's not how you approach people. Like,
no,
like that's not like, I've got my own like strategy and, I come from corporate world anyway. Like my professional career is sales and I manage salespeople and talking to people with respect. And so that definitely helps me of like, I know that if I don't respond for 2 weeks, it's going to be shit house, but also respect and working together. And like, at the end of the day, I want you to come on the show, wanting to come on the show, not grudgingly coming on the show and then coming on like, oh, this sucks. Like that's the worst. That's my biggest fear is when you go, that was the worst.
Yeah. Well, it's all about how you conduct yourself or how you approach people. Like you said, like I get DMs from like up and coming rappers that I don't know that I'll just say the DM is just send beats. No, that's not how it works.
Like, no, hello, no, no.
Yeah,
Like, it's so
no,
easy to be like, hey mate, how you going? Big fan. Like,
yeah, it's
it's
so easy.
literally the tiniest details of just saying, hey, I've been following your work. Like, hey, I really support what you do. I like
Yeah,
you've worked with XYZ. Like, you can say,
yeah.
and it just makes all the difference as opposed to send beats.
Like you said, you woke up at 6 a.m. to do this because you care about this and you really want to keep doing this. It's like if you're serious about your career, don't email an established producer and just be like send beats. That's like you said, you have to be like, hey man, I've been a fan of you for years. These are the songs that I've done so far. I really want to work with you. How much do you charge or something like that? You know what I mean?
Like, what's
But
the
if you just
best way to
say,
go about it? Like, what's your preference? Like,
mm-hmm,
and then if they say no, you have to take it on the chin and be like, I'm not ready yet. You just come
right,
back, you ask again, you're like, hey mate, checking back in, still a big fan. I've been working on XYZ. Like, you can actually gain a lot of respect by the way you handle rejection. And
right,
I've said
right,
no to artists to come in on the show because they're just like still beginning, and some
mm-hmm,
of them get annoyed. And it's like, well, I don't know you anything. And at the same time, part of it is like, I want to see you over a period of time show success
right,
and show
right, right, right,
potential. So I always say to them, like, no's not no, it's just not at the moment. There's always
right, right, right,
potential for
right.
you to come on the show, but it's like, I
Yeah,
want to see a bit more from you. And so
yeah,
some of them are
exactly.
just like, take it like it's an insult. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah. And I also think that's another thing with the new generation. It's like they don't know how to take criticism. You know, I've had so many like young artists like get mad at me because I didn't reply to their DM or something. It's just like it's like how many like when I started out, or not when I started out, but like when I've messaged artists that I want to work with and they didn't even see my DM. I'm not gonna cry over it. You know?
happens to all of us. It literally
Yeah,
happens to all. And man, you're busy. Like,
yeah.
there's a
I
reason
know.
I want to work with you. It's because of all the shit that you're busy doing, and you don't exactly have time to respond to every message that you see. So it's
Yeah,
also
yeah, yeah.
perspective.
I think Jelly Roll tweeted this like a couple weeks ago. He said something like, "Just because I didn't reply to your text doesn't automatically mean I'm an asshole. I'm just busy." And it was true. Like I'm sure people, like there's people who text me or whatever, but like I'm not on that scale of like I have thousands of text messages. You know what I mean? Like I've I've seen Merk's phone and he has like 1,000 unread text messages.
That is guarantee. That makes me anxious thinking about it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I have to clear
Yeah,
my emails and shit. I'm one of those people. I'm like, I have to, if I have these I'm like, oh my God. Like,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just never
I'm the
get.
same way. Like I have to have like I have to have like all my unopened emails like open. I have to, I can't just have like 1,000 DMs that I didn't open yet.
Can I ask you, you said that like, you were listening to, um, you literally said it, Jedi Mind Tricks. You were listening to Jedi
Yeah,
Mind Tricks. You were like, this is what I want to do.
yeah,
Fast forward to the moment where you're meeting the artists from Jedi Mind Tricks. What was
yeah.
that like? Like, I think it's extremely rare for people ever in life to meet the people that inspired them to take the steps to the journey that they were going to take. And for you to not only meet them and work with them, but what was that like initial meeting? And what was that initial feeling like?
So I think I first met I first met Vinnie Paz in Rhode Island in like 2010 maybe. It was, so I was already sending him beats at the time because we met on MySpace, like just and I started sending him beats, and it was like really nerve wracking. I remember driving to that show because I didn't, I was just like, I've been listening to him for years with my friends. And now it's like I work with the guy. So it's like really, it was like really nerve wracking and exciting. And I remember being super quiet. Like, it's not like this now when we hang out, but I remember being really quiet because I didn't know what to say and I didn't want to like look like an idiot. um, but then he was like, he's always just been like so, you know, he like welcomed me in, as like a little brother. He always calls me his little brother. And it was just like, because sometimes like, like the saying when you meet your heroes and they're like assholes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like never meet your favorite artist because they end up being dicks or something. He was never like that to me. So that's what made it so much like better. Of like I've supported him as an artist for years, and then he put me on, and then he was also just like he was so caring and everything with me. Like he would teach me a lot of things when I was coming up and stuff now. So it was just like it was a really cool feeling. And when I look back on it, like you said, it is rare to you know be a fan of someone and then you not only meet them, you work with them. Like it's different. It's different to just meet, like if I met like Michael Jordan, it's like okay, that's cool, but I'm not gonna have a friendship with the guy. But like listening to Jedi Mind Tricks, then meeting them, then working with them, and now being like good friends with them, it's really actually really cool when I sit down and think about
I agree. I think
it. Right.
it's more than it's like dreams come true. Like, as a
Yeah,
kid,
yeah,
you're like, man, imagine what it would be like working with these people. Imagine what it would be like being in
yeah,
the same room. Imagine what it would be like just hanging out and talking to them. That
yeah,
happened for
yeah,
you. Like that
yeah.
legitimately happened where you're like,
I
I'm
know.
friends with the people that inspired me to make music.
Yep, yep. And it's funny because there was a handful of people that like really inspired me to do it. It was Jedi Mind Tricks. I've met them and I've worked with them. It was Evidence. He was on my album. And then it was DJ Premier and Guru, who obviously Guru, rest in peace. But then I haven't met DJ Premier, but he played my album on his radio show. So it was kind of like all these things came together where it's like, man, these guys that I looked up to, like they know me. So it's like it's really cool, man.
It must give you a lot of like, not confidence, a lot of satisfaction now to be like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, both too, both. Like obviously that gave me so much confidence in my beats at the beginning when I was like Vinnie Paz is using my beats, because at the time he only worked with Stu from Jedi Mind Tricks. Like he only had one producer for years. So then I was like, man, he thinks my beats are good. And like at the time, like I was in the last year of college and it was like nobody used my beats. So I was just like, how is like in my opinion, one of the best rappers, you know, alive, picking my beats. So it was like the confidence level that is when it also set in where it's just like, yeah, I'm not getting a job. This is what I'm going to do.
well, I'm glad you did. Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny you said that. A couple weeks ago, I posted on my Instagram that it now marks 14 years that I've been, making beats. And Mad Child commented and he was like, thank God you did.
I agree. I agree, man.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people have left their talent on the table by
Oh man. Yeah.
like it makes me really wonder, imagine what we could have. Like
I know.
intrinsically, like
Yeah.
you and I both know and have met people that are more talented than us.
Oh, 100%.
Every artist I ever meet, they're like, there was this guy that I knew who was better. There was this girl that I knew that was just crisp. She had it all. She had an ear, like a better ear. She learned it, she picked it up, and then they ended up doing something else. And it's like, I guess I'm gonna go for it because it's my dream. But at the same time, like I remember that person starting at the same time as me, and they just seemed to have it. So it's kind of like it's meant to happen in the sense that you put in the work and so you deserve it. But it's also interesting to be like, I wonder if that person put in the same work that I did, where they could end up.
Well, 50 Cent had a great quote on one of his he was doing a podcast, and he said there's only one thing that separates humans, and it's passion. That's what he said. So it got me thinking. I was like, yeah, I mean, I believe that I have talent in making beats, but I also think I'm where I am because I made like 3 or 4 beats a day for 14 years. Like, you know how many producers there are who probably have, well, not probably, there's definitely people who have more musical talent than me, but they sat in their parents' house for years and didn't do anything. You know, like they went to those college parties, they drank, they went to those college parties, they made, you know, 2 beats a month or something when I was making 60 beats a month. So it's like, it's true that passion is what separates everyone. Like, obviously there's people that are more talented than you, like, you know, if you look at athletes, you know, like, you know, the guy that's faster than everyone, you know, he was born that way. Like, he's just faster than you. You know what I mean? But especially in like music, it's like, you know, you might be born with the ability to play guitar, but you practicing every single day is going to make you the best. There's even, you know, there's artists that I work with now that are just like, they're so talented, but they don't, you know, they don't record every day, or, you know, they'll record like, you know, once a week or something. It's like, you could be on top of the world if you recorded every day. You know what I mean? So
I think it's part of like the self-sabotage.
Yeah.
I think where humans are interesting in that sense, that like we see our potential and there's part of us that doesn't want to reach it because we're scared.
Yeah.
Like, what happens if I do? What, like, if I don't know, for me, sometimes it's like, will I be happy if I reach it? If I'm not, what does that say about me? And then is that a reality that I want to face? And it's like, be careful what you wished for. So I think it's all, we're complicated, man, is what I'm figuring out.
I think we're also our biggest enemies too. Like, I think that your biggest enemy sometimes is yourself. You can look, because I also think there's people who get success and like, and you know, like yourself. I mean, like you said, they self-sabotage. Like, it's almost like you don't believe you should have this success. You know what I mean? I think that it's just like, a lot of people achieve success and then they almost feel like they shouldn't have that. You know, like maybe it's with their childhood or something. Their parents were, you know, didn't support them, so then they think when they get older that like they're not supposed to be happy or something. You know what I mean? So
it's that like, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna get found out.
Yeah. Right. So
someone who definitely is not going to get found out because everyone's been listening to your music and you got the test of time is the one and only C Lance. But man, I only have one more question for you. It's the only
let's go.
that I plan on the show. It's the toughest one, I'm going to say. But if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once to get an appreciation of, can be any genre of music, cannot be your own music, what would it be?
Any genre of music, you said?
Yeah, any genre.
Oh man. Man, it would probably be Thriller. I think that's probably the best album of all time in any genre. And if I do choose hip hop, I'd say Chronic 01.
Can I just say, the amount of people, I never expected for Thriller to be mentioned as much as it is. Like, when I started the show and I came up with that question, I was like, oh, I'm going to get so many hip hop recommendations. And I do get a few, but I also get so many non-hip hop It's awesome. Like, I don't even think I really understand how good Thriller is, because
Yeah, right.
people are just mentioning it time and time again.
I mean, just the Thriller video alone at the time of that coming. I don't know the exact year that came out. I don't even know if I was born yet. But the that video alone was so just like, different for the time that it came out. And we're still talking about it, what, 40 years later or 30 years later? I don't even know how long it's been. But it's just like that's an album that has been like, I feel like every generation of kid knows that album.
Yeah. Yeah, they really do. But what do you hear sonically? I'm interested, for someone who makes beats, for someone who produces for a lot of extremely talented artists, what do you hear when you hear that project?
So one thing that I've always noticed with that album, I don't know if Quincy Jones produced. I know he produced Thriller, but I don't know if he produced the whole album. But anyways, one thing that I always noticed about that album is the beats sound super simple, but then when you actually sit down and listen to them, there's so much going on in the beat. It's like, but then like his like vocal range was like insane. And then it's like you could even listen back at that. And it's like it's kind of hip hop beats.
Mm.
There's hip hop elements in that album, 100%. Like there's an 808, there's an 808 snare like on a lot of the songs. I mean, if you actually listen to it, there's hip hop in Thriller, which is actually pretty cool now that if you look back on it.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to have to go back and reappreciate
Yeah,
it, for sure.
re-listen to it now and like look for the hip hop elements because there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I might have to go for a drive and just put it on and just be like, all right,
Yeah,
I have work to do. But man, as I said, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. The one and only C Lance. As we said, new track came out, Cigarette, Bars of Death as well. Obviously,
Yep.
Twista and Merk. Undying Flame came out last year. Your list of credits continues to grow. I'm extremely excited to see what you continue to do. And as we said, every one of those beats that you made in the past has gotten you to where you are now, and just shows that like, hey, you can work with your heroes, because my man right here did it. But yeah, make sure you check him out on obviously Spotify, IG. You've got a website as well with like merch that people can check out.
Yep.
Music videos on there as well. But man, is there anything else you wanted to plug?
I'm trying to think. No, I think you said everything. We got the new song "Cigarette" out now. Bars of Death just dropped featuring Twista and Merkules. And yeah, my album. Well, I mean, like you said, my album, "The Undying Flame," dropped in June. It's on my Spotify right now. Features. I mean, I'm not even going to go through the feature list. We'll be here for another hour. But it's basically all your favorite independent underground rappers are on it. So yeah, go check it out. And that's pretty much it, man. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.